This is App Talks. We talk about apps, we talk about growth, but how about how you could grow if you were just looking at data you have access to, but you're not thinking about in that way. You're not framing it that way, but we are going to frame it that way, Dieter, because that's what you've been doing at ContextSDK since the very start. And I met you at the very start.
Yeah.
But we didn't appreciate it then. We didn't appreciate it then. I think we needed the full Armageddon of IDFA and a data privacy first landscape, which we all respect, but then we understand all data matters. And that's where we come to the context of the phone, the data on the phone, the data on the device. First of all, I have to ask you, are you having a moment right now? Because all data matters, your data matters more, I would imagine.
Absolutely. It seems that we're in the right spot at the right time, which is kind of also a good bridge to what we believe is important, that timing is the most underleveraged thing that you have in the app economy, that you can turn into a huge upside and a favor. And this is kind of what we work on with our approach on device AI and kind of building what we call a data infrastructure layer on device contextual information.
So let's unpack that a little bit, because I remember talking to companies, what was that? Maybe, quite a few years ago actually, where they're like, you know what? The device tells us something, but it was very, very primitive. It was really like, okay, we can see a certain Android device, so we can assume like a certain social strata, or we have the top iOS device, so must have an affluent customer. We can show them ads that are aspirational. Pretty primitive. What can we learn now from device data? What are we actually seeing? Because we're not seeing the device. Doesn't matter what make or model. We're seeing users in their natural habitat, what they are doing on the device. What can you learn?
Exactly. So maybe that's a good explanation. So how do we learn more about endangered wildlife?
Okay.
So we try to get these, what it is, tigers or any other animals, and we tag them with devices that have sensors in them.
Yes.
And we learn about how they live in their natural habitat. Now, we as humans, we constantly move in a three-dimensional space. We walk, we sit, we lie down there. And we have these devices with us, these smartphones with extremely sensitive sensors producing data all along 24 hours a day. Which would allow us to learn so much about our behavior in real-world context while using our smartphones and apps. And we believe if we collect that data and interpret that data, it can help us to learn an awful lot about intent, which again helps us to create better user experiences in apps. And as a consequence of that, improve engagement, retention, and monetization. So back to your question, these sensors, and I'm talking here about freely available data like screen brightness, time of the day, charging status, battery level. For example, it's a difference. The likelihood of conversion is different if your battery is at 5% or if your phone is charging or if the phone is at 75%. That has an impact.
True, that's true.
And
very true, actually.
There is a difference.
You won't do a lot when it's low. I'm not downloading anything, or I'm traveling, I won't.
And now I'll tell you something. It's different from app vertical to app vertical and from kind of app to app, because we have seen one phenomenon or one anomaly with an app client of ours for Gen Z type of social network dating app.
Okay.
Even when the charging status or the battery status was below 3%, zero impact on likelihood of conversion. But that's for that user group, for that app.
That's for that app.
And you would only learn that if you collect the data. And as it was in the past, either at some point you start to collect the data and learn from it, or at some point you will pay for the data. as many marketers and companies did in the past with first-party data.
Yes.
that they didn't care about, that they didn't collect. So we're tapping into all that freely available data. And the new aspect, which brings us to the motion sensor data, is data coming from the so-called accelerometer and gyroscope. So like, how do you accelerate your phone while you're using it? And how do you hold it on an X, Y, Z axis, which lets us precisely assess 24 activities with a 96% precision rate. So either you're walking, you're sitting, you're on the sofa, you're in bed, you're at the table, etc., etc., etc. The motion sensor data from your smartphone is so granular and fine-tuned that we even know if you drive in a car with a combustion engine or an electric vehicle. Because the combustion engine makes a vibration that your smartphone clearly can see.
Oh, wow. So these things are going to tell you. So give me examples of how you be a matchmaker, basically. You know, we have this data, then you're working with app marketers, and you're saying, you know, if this, then that, right? For example, you know, if you have an app that's not a dating app and it's 3% battery, then you can imagine conversion at that moment isn't going to happen.
Don't show the paywall.
Don't show the paywall. Give me a couple more. This is exciting because it's a little bit, it's refreshing to be able to say an if this then that in our world today. So this is helpful in focusing budget and efforts. This is a component of the algorithm in a way for success. So give me some more examples. We got one.
Yeah. So
let's go through some that maybe even are humorous or surprising, because I'm sure you have a few.
So also to give you some background, how do we get there? So we are, as I said, we're building kind of a data infrastructure layer, and we started out to build off-the-shelf products that apps easily can integrate and work with from day one. Which will be like context decision and context push, but we're seeing more and more interest of larger players interested to build their own applications and offerings on top of the data infrastructure layer, on topics like fraud detection, ad network integrations, live ops, rage quit detection, etc., etc., etc. You know, let's take the example of fraud. What is fraud very often? Fraud very often is a phone tucked to a wall that is not moving. Now, if you cross-reference that data and you see activities triggered in your app, but you don't have any physical movement and it's very fine and granular, then that's with a high likelihood a case of fraud. So think about that in fintech or in banking, or imagine you have a 20 million user acquisition budget per month, and you just accept that 10 or 15% of that is fraud. And how do you detect that today? Now, with our solution, you could collect data on your fraudulent users that you have bought. And based on that, when you have integrated ContextSDK, fetch the motion sensor data. Based on that, we can build a classifier, which is the foundation of a machine learning model, that can identify that pattern in the very first session. So if you have a 20 million UA budget per month, that's a business case on its own. So we started out building products and tools for improving monetization of apps, but we're moving more and more in the direction of being a data company, building this data infrastructure layer.
You're like a first-party data space now, because you have this data, which can inform campaigns beyond your customers, actually.
Absolutely.
So when does that happen? When do you open that up? When is that ready for business?
Well, I think that's a process where we are super happy to kind of get approached by, I would say, the most sophisticated and capable organizations out there who are sophisticated in working with their data, who have their house in order when it comes to their first-party data, who have some of the most brilliant data scientists. And, you know, they already work heavily on integrating machine learning and AI into their processes of decision-making when it comes to improving the management of their apps. And they understand that we are just another layer of data that they just cannot miss, because you know, mobile is the world's largest computing platform, with billions of users.
Yeah.
It's a cutthroat competition. Customer acquisition costs are rising.
Yeah.
Everybody's fighting for retention,
Yeah.
and you just cannot afford to neglect a whole category of data.
I can see major brands and companies, particularly in fintech, coming to you and saying, you know what, let's work this in with our data. But I can also see, or am I not thinking this through properly, but I'm also thinking, you know, the data companies, i.e. the MMPs, would love you, would they not?
So let's hypothetically create a case where you would, let's imagine we're able to fetch motion and sensor data before the first bit request in an ad network.
Yes.
And then out of our 300 signals, provide you a list of 25 golden signals which have supposedly or hypothetically the highest impact on your targeting performance.
Yeah.
And we make that part of your 100 parameters of a bidding script in a programmatic advertising case. And if that can improve the targeting performance and improve your campaign, and you an ad network that has that competitive edge, we know that ad networks are a hyper-transparent market, and every differentiator can be leveraged across the spending volume of your advertisers. So I would say
that's an interesting opportunity. Yes. I was gone with the fraud. I was thinking, oh, you know, MMPs. I've worked with MMPs and been writing about them forever, and it was always about, you know, the 9 types of fraud and what do we do. And no, it's much more interesting for an ad network that has inventory following I love it, the 25 golden signals.
Yeah.
Have you ever captured those? Are those out there anywhere?
Well, maybe in 2 months from more. In 2 months we're able to share more, but it's exciting times.
It is exciting times. I mean, that is also something very cool. 25 golden signals that I think I will be watching for. One other thing, when we're talking about what you share and what you give back, you have it here, and I didn't make it into it. I'm very sorry. I was traveling in Vietnam, but maybe there's a volume 2. Can we just see this? Because I think it's wonderful because it matches your shirt. The Ultimate Guide to App Monetization 2026, which I can, of course, download, right?
Absolutely.
And this might be mine, maybe an autographed copy since I didn't make it into it with all of my colleagues and friends. But tell me a little bit about the book, because here you are, you're about to share at some point signals that we need to know that are going to be very effective. What have you done here? Tell me about this. So
first of all, I'm super grateful for my amazing team who worked on that. And we believe, since we're kind of trying to make a, let's say, significant contribution to the ecosystem and to the industry that we work in, we asked ourselves, what can we do to kind of hold true to that promise? And as I said, in the environment that we currently are, also with the kind of global economic climate, et cetera, I think it is necessary that we all are on top of our game when it comes to improving our businesses. And, you know, this is more or less kind of a collection of the best of class of like experts. Next year you were in, since we also tried you to get you for this first issue.
I will happily make volume 2.
So we have from 15 great experts, whether it is Eric Crowley from GP Bullhound or Hannah Pavas and Jeff from Purchasely, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many amazing experts who shared their know-how, their insights. And we put that together, 39 pages, 7 chapters, 15 experts, and at the end, templates and checklists. So whether you're an indie developer or you're a large app with 50 million MAU, this should be helpful to be set for your monetization strategies 2026.
I have to say, I was glancing at it. What I really like is that it is made for people who want to up their game, literally, because I have things like this, very helpful graphs and grids that are going to give me my checklist, almost like a workbook for not just UA, really for growth, full funnel growth, which is where you're probably also going to be having an interesting time, because it is about keeping people in the app And you're going to
Absolutely.
see the behaviors, it's very different on the move. Maybe it's going to be a different need state. And then, understanding this is going to be part of that fabric of not just acquiring them at the right time, but connecting and reconnecting with them at the right time.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about when is a conversion going to happen. What else can you see? We talked about conversions. I wanted to end with like the full cycle. So I understand conversions might not happen at a certain point.
Yeah.
But when should connections happen? What do your signals tell us about that? That would be fascinating.
On a meta level, I would always say connections should happen when the timing is right. So I think in this context, there's two paths I want to share. The first one is context push. Context push is bringing our capability to push notifications. So we integrate successfully with platforms like OneSignal or CleverTap or Firebase or Custom.io. And on top of that, we always see ourselves as complementary, right?
Yeah.
With us, they are now able to not only send a push notification based on a server-side timestamp, like 24 hours after the first engagement or on Thursday, 2 p.m., but you can send your push notification on Thursday afternoon between 2 and 6 when the time is right.
Yeah.
So what we do then is on device, we do a background wake-up call for 2 seconds, check the real-world context. Now, if you knew that the phone is locked face down on the table, do you want to release the push notification? No, because the likelihood of engagement is low.
Interesting.
But you want to release it if somebody is sitting relaxed on the couch, phone is unlocked and they're scrolling, because then the likelihood of engagement is high. So this is how we can help when the time is right for an engagement, for an interaction. That's one way. And the other one is we're not helping only to give information about when to show that paywall, but we also can help you to say like, what is the real world context when somebody is, for example, in a cancellation flow, or if there is a likelihood to churn, like churn prediction can also happen massively based on kind of motion sensor data and real world context behavior. Because if you can detect over time that sessions get shorter, that sessions are being done on transit and not anymore at the table at the longer duration, et cetera, that can also tell us something. But you need to collect the data, you need to interpret the data across your total user base, and based on that, with understanding patterns, you can make better decisions with the help of machine learning executed on device.
Things are coming together really well for you, Dieter. I have to ask, though, since I know you from the start, and we discussed this, and I just thought, interesting, but is that going to be valuable data? Okay, proven me wrong, absolutely, which I'm happy to be proven wrong, because I love it when we talk about things at the intersection. So context for me is very exciting. But did you have this in mind when you started? Because now what you can be is you can be like, you are a data layer. That's a very different position. That's a power broker.
Did I know that? No, I had no clue.
I thought you were a little bit just excited and geeky like me. You were just like, oh, this is great data I can get. But now
I was like,
it's like the missing piece.
When Felix, my co-founder, who basically is the technical genius behind all that, and for that you need to understand his kind of background. He has built Fastlane tools, one of the most widely adopted continuous app deployment tools. So he has deep understanding of how to build software, that it is great for app developers and easy to integrate. Right. And then he combined that know-how at his role at a insurtech company in the US that worked with motion sensor data, and by that assessing the premium on the insurance policy of a car insurance.
From like the speed of the car and everything like that.
So, and that was the foundation to say like, why don't we use that for all types of interactions and apps?
Yeah.
And when he told me that, I was immediately amazed and fascinated, because I said like, this is so obvious. Why is nobody else doing it? So either we can very quickly prove that this is bullshit, or we're sitting on a huge opportunity.
It was the latter. It was the latter. That is a great story. And you've got you've got something great to look forward to, Dieter. And I know you personally, so I know that you are hardworking. This is not a gift. This is something you worked hard for. So I wish you all the best in the future, because I know that every data point counts. Everything counts. And so yours will be counting more as well. And I'll be counting on, there you go. I can even do a pun on this. I'll be counting on seeing you again soon, perhaps even next year. Is it a date?
Lovely. Thank you.
You're on.
Thank you so much, Peggy.